If it's Friday night, oh yes it is. Strictly Sports. Hello friends, Anthony Flair here with you for another edition of Strictly Sports. Sorry for the late start, but we're waiting on good old MF Michael Fletcher. I don't know where he is. I just messaged him a little bit ago to see if he was in or out for tonight's show. Hopefully, he will be with us in a matter of moments. But we'll if he comes in late, we'll just catch him up on what he missed. I don't know if he has. I don't know if it's work commitments or anything else. Usually, he lets me know certain times, but I don't know what's going on. So we can't wait any longer. So we're just gonna start the show now, and if he comes in, we'll just catch him up on what he missed. Hopefully, he doesn't come in too late. I'm joined as always by Michael Bullock for now, but hopefully MF will be with us in a short. So let's. But boy, howdy! I mean, what a night here! What a wild and crazy Friday! I mean, with all these things that have been going on in the world of sports and in the world of professional wrestling, I would hate to be an incumbent. My goodness, I mean, with all the big news stories of the day, I mean, man, if you talk in the world of professional wrestling, I mean, Austin Aries getting released, AJ Styles winning the United States Heavyweight Championship on in Madison Square Garden, unbelievable. But we're not talking wrestling here. We're talking, strictly sports, and I know we'll address that elephant in the room soon enough. But nonetheless, we got to get into the action here. So it's going to be dominated by NBA hot stove this time around. Chris Paul joining the Houston Rockets. We're going to talk about Gordon Hayward going to the Celtics. Kyle Lowry staying with the Toronto Raptors. We're going to recap the NBA awards. We're gonna introduce the Hockey Hall of Fame class of 2017. Connor McDavid signing a huge extension with the Edmonton Oilers. The very controversial boxing bout from last week where Jeff Horn, quote unquote, defeated Manny Pacquiao. A UFC 213 preview and the Major League Baseball Power Rankings. I'm hopeful we can get MF here because I mean the Horn and Pacquiao in the UFC 213. That's MF's wheelhouse, and I know he's gonna have a lot to say about that, a lot to say about both of those. And the power rankings, a bit of a rough go, but ultimately I figured it out, and hopefully if the results hold up the way they do, then we can keep it as they are. So that's it. There's your docket for tonight. So let's get into our first NBA hot stove story. Chris Paul signing with the Houston, getting traded to the Houston Rockets, and I mean, what else is there to say? I mean, just all I want to do right now is just find the proper schematic for this, and we'll go from there. All right. This went down a week ago. Chris Paul signing, he got traded to the Houston Rockets. The LA Clippers traded Chris Paul to the Houston Rockets went on Wednesday, June 28th, according to a league official briefed on the deal. Paul's contract was up, and he could have gone to the Rockets as a free agent. The Clippers worked out the deal so they could receive something in return for him. The deal will enable Paul to make more money than he would have if he had left as a free agent. The Clippers will receive 7 players, including Patrick Beverley, Lou Williams, and Sam Decker, and a 2018 first-round pick, according to multiple news media reports. The deal will also open up salary cap space for them in the near future. The deal was first reported by Yahoo Sports. Paul, a 9-time All-Star, will team with a bona fide superstar, James Harden, to give the Rockets a formidable lineup to challenge the Golden State Warriors in the Western Conference. The Rockets were 55-27 last season, but fell to the San Antonio Spurs in the second round of this year's playoffs. Reportedly, the Spurs had also been interested in Paul. This past season, James Harden essentially became the Rockets' regular point guard, shifting over from shooting guard. The move was a success. His assists per game soared to a league-leading 11, and his scoring output remained steady. Now the team may have to rethink things with the arrival of Paul, one of the league's premier point guards. Stylistically, Paul is an odd fit for Coach Mike D'Antoni's up-tempo offense. Because of Harden's full embrace of D'Antoni's system, the Rockets ran the third fastest offense in the NBA, averaging 102.5 possessions per 48 minutes. The Clippers were 17th at 98.2, which was in line with the last 3 seasons, where the aging Paul guided a methodical attack for the Clippers that did not crack the top 10 in pace at any point, despite the presence of offensive stars like Blake Griffin and Jamal Crawford. Paul's age and injury history also make him somewhat of a risk. He played in 61 games last season, missing time because of surgery to his thumb. It was the 3rd time in his career in which he missed 20 or more games. His ability to steal the ball frequently, he is the career leader in steals among active players, has contributed to problems with his fingers over the years. LeBron James, good friends with Paul, applauded the deal on Twitter shortly after the report surfaced. My brother off to a new journey. Best of luck at CP3. H-Town, y'all got a great one coming to your city. #brotherhood. The Clippers could see even further upheaval because Griffin is also a free agent, and he could choose to join forces with Russell Westbrook and the Thunder in his hometown of Oklahoma City. If Griffin leaves the Clippers, they will have lost their 2 top scorers, and although they still have DeAndre Jordan, it would seem to be the end of a successful era for the team. After years of lingering in the shadow of the Lakers, the Clippers finally surpassed them recently. The team has had 5 straight 50-win seasons, the first ones in its history, but it has failed to advance past the second round of the playoffs. Paul's arrival in Los Angeles from the New Orleans Pelicans in December 2011 was shrouded in controversy. He initially was traded to the Lakers, but the league, which temporarily owned the Pelicans, rejected the deal as unfair. A new deal to the Clippers was hastily arranged. Bear with me for a moment. I believe. Unfortunately, MF is going to be unable to join us tonight. He's having problems with the Google Hangout. He says it's acting up on his end. He's going to make a special video on the preview of the UFC fights for tomorrow. Yeah, that's a damn shame. MF. He's having some technical difficulties, so unfortunately, MF is going to be out of this show tonight, I'm afraid. So, barring a miracle. So, all right, for tomorrow, he says, have them refer to my comments about the boxing fight from last week. Oh, yeah, MF did a little video. MF had to do a video with the whole Pacquiao thing. So I guess we're going to have to remove those 2 items from the docket because, they were MF related. So we're going to have to remove Horn and Pacquiao and UFC 213 from the docket because MF will unfortunately be unable to join us because of technical difficulties on his end. The Google Hangout's not letting him in, so we're just gonna have to roll with it. So all right, that's a shame, but it is what it is. So we'll just have to roll with it. So once again, good old MF Michael Fletcher will not be joining us tonight because of technical difficulties on his end. So yeah, I'm just going to have to let Derek Ferreira know. So I gave you the schematic, so I'm just going to give you a quick thought about this, and then I'll let Bullock run with it. Huge move for the Rockets. I mean, this definitely puts Houston in that top 3 echelon when it comes to the Western Conference. I mean, of course, Golden State is the king, obviously. And then, of course, San Antonio right there with them. But now that you've got Chris Paul and James Harden leading the Rockets, I mean, Houston is going to be scary good next season. I mean, you thought they were good this year. Who knows? They could be the big threat to Golden State in the West and not San Antonio. But I don't know. I mean, because San Antonio still has, they still got Tony Parker, they still got Ginobili and LaMarcus Aldridge and Kawhi Leonard and all them. So we're gonna have to wait and see on that one. So But this is a great move for Houston, and Houston just got better. Houston just became a contender for the first time in a long time. So yeah, I mean, when you think about Paul and Harden together, that's going to be scary. I mean, the power scoring of James Harden and the flashy, quick, up-tempo style of Chris Paul. Houston, like I said, Houston's going to be a major threat, and we're going to have to take them very, very seriously come next season. So applaud the move for Houston, no doubt about it. So with that being said, Michael Bullock, take this for a spin. I got some business to take care of here.
All right, I will indeed take this for a spin. Yeah, I like this trade, and it basically really makes this Houston Rockets team very dangerous in that Western Conference, and could challenge Golden State for an NBA championship. Because like you said, now you got, you had Chris Paul with James Harden in there. James Harden. With the scoring, and Chris Paul with what he can do. Not only he can score, but he's more about dishing out the assist. That's basically the bread and butter for him. The highest assist he's ever gotten in his career for a season. It was 11.6, and that was during the 2007-08 season with New Orleans. And yeah, and they're getting one heck of a player. A 9-time NBA All-Star, an 8-time All-NBA team, 9-time NBA All-Defensive team, was the All-Star Game's most valuable player in 2013, a Rookie of the Year in 2006, an All-Rookie First Team in that same year. So yeah, but like you said, Florio, Golden State is definitely the king of that division, but they're going to have to take this Houston Rockets team very seriously, especially now with the addition of with getting Chris Paul in that trade. So, can they win it? I don't think so, but I think they could get as far as the Western Conference Finals. So, that's how I see it. But we'll definitely have to wait and see once the season comes along. So, I like this move, and yeah, definitely a team to keep an eye on for the 2017-2018 season. So, nothing else for me to say. So, Florio, if you're ready, let's move on to the next topic.
And it's one that I know you're going to be looking forward to, Michael Bullock, as we're going to talk about the newest member of your Boston Celtics. I know you got to be excited about this, Gordon Hayward. Gordon Hayward is on his way to Beantown. So just give me a moment, and I'll get the schematic for that. So bear with me for a moment. Okay. Yes, just bear with me for a minute as I try to. Okay. All right. I just need to find the schematic here. Okay. All right. Just give me a moment here. Pop-ups and ads. Okay. Yep, it is official. Gordon Hayward chooses the Celtics. When Brad Stevens was an assistant coach at Butler University, he began recruiting a scrawny tennis player from nearby Brownsburg, Indiana High School named Gordon Hayward. Stevens told Hayward he could see him becoming an NBA player someday, but he probably never envisioned that he would coach him there. After a wild day filled with conflicting reports and speculation about his future, Hayward announced this past Tuesday night that he had agreed to a deal with the Celtics. According to a league source, it is a 4-year, $128 million maximum contract with a player option in the final season. The All-Star forward signing gives Boston the biggest prize in this free agent class and immediately positions the team more comfortably among the league's elite. Shortly after winning 53 games and securing the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, the Celtics could now challenge LeBron James and the Cavaliers in the playoffs. The 6'7" Hayward, who averaged 21.9 points and 5.4 rebounds for the Jazz last season, gives the Celtics a versatile, dynamic scorer who should take some of the burden off of the team's other All-Star, Isaiah Thomas. In the 2,000-word essay posted on the Players Tribune, Hayward spoke glowingly about his time in Utah, where he had played ever since being drafted by the Jazz in 2010. That was the same year Hayward, Stevens, and Butler lost in the NCAA title game against Duke when Hayward's last-second half-court heave caromed off the rim. Hayward was just a sophomore then, and he faced the difficult decision of whether to leave for the NBA or return to Butler, where the Bulldogs would have been in position to chase another title. It was such a tough decision, Hayward wrote in the Players Tribune, but there was one person who I knew I could talk to about it from every angle, who I knew would give me the smartest and most honest perspective available, Coach Stevens. Hayward said Stevens helped him consider all options and that when he just needed some space to decide, Stevens provided that too, insisting that he would support him no matter what he chose. It always meant a lot to me to know how in that moment, even with our lives at this strange crossroads together, Coach Stevens was someone I could count on, Hayward said. Hayward went on to the NBA, and Stevens was hired by the Celtics 3 years later. And again, Coach Stevens and I found ourselves at a crossroads together, Hayward said. And again, he was the person I knew I could count on the most, and now I've decided to sign with the Boston Celtics. Hayward said he was drawn to the winning sports culture in Boston, as well as the rich history of the Celtics. He also said that the amazing potential he saw on Boston's career roster was a plus. And then he turned the focus back to his former mentor. And that unfinished business we had together back in 2010 when I left Butler for the NBA, Hayward said. As far as I'm concerned, all of these years later, we still have it, and that's to win a championship. Hayward had spent this past weekend visiting with his potential suitors, the Heat, Celtics, and Jazz. And all indications were that July 4 would bring some clarity. Instead, it turned into a frenzied day filled with conflicting reports, frustrated representatives, and team executives left waiting by their cell phones. Just after 2 p.m., ESPN reported that Hayward had agreed to a deal with the Celtics. One leak source said by phone moments later that Boston had been extremely confident that it would sign Hayward, but that it was unclear whether a deal had been finalized. Then another leak source said that Hayward had indeed pledged to become a Celtic. Soon afterward, however, there was a sudden shift. Multiple reports and sources suggested that Hayward had yet to notify the teams involved in his courtship. Hayward's agent, Mark Bartelstein, said in the telephone interview that he was in the process of meeting with Hayward and helping him finalize his choice when the news broke that an agreement had been reached. Bartelstein was agitated by the leak, and he said it was inaccurate. He hasn't made a final decision yet, he said. When asked if the final word, in fact, be announced Tuesday, Bartelstein said that was the goal, but now we got to kind of regroup here a bit. Leak sources said the Celtics remained in contact with Hayward's representatives, but that they were waiting for a final word, just like everyone else. When afternoon turned to evening, all sides mostly went silent, stirring rampant speculation about what the holdup might be. Then Hayward's announcement was posted, and there finally was clarity. Hayward's decision is expected to ignite an avalanche of activity around the NBA. The Celtics, for example, will likely need to renounce their remaining free agents, rescind their qualifying offer to Kelly Olynyk, waive Demetrius Jackson and Jordan Mickey, who have non-guaranteed contracts, and then make one more deal such as trading Marcus Smart or Terry Rozier. Hayward visited Miami on Saturday, then arrived in Boston later that night. He was met at Logan Airport by Stevens. On Sunday, a Celtics delegation that included Thomas, Stevens, Al Horford, and President of Basketball Operations Danny Ainge took Hayward to Fenway Park, where he viewed a video that touted what it is like to be a star athlete in Boston. They also took him for a tour of their under-construction training facility in Brighton that is scheduled to open next year. Away from that pomp and circumstance, Stevens showed Hayward clips of how the team might utilize him. Stevens has done this with draft prospects and free agents before, but never with one who was so familiar with him. Hayward flew to his summer home in San Diego on Sunday night, and on Monday, he was met there by representatives from the only NBA team he has ever played for, the Jazz. Utah point guard Ricky Rubio, who was recently acquired from the Timberwolves, even flew in from Spain for the meeting, but that, it turns out, was not enough. Gordon Hayward is a Celtic. And Michael Bullock, I know you couldn't be any more delighted about that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is a guy that the Celtics that they have been targeting ever since the offseason began, and all I can say is, yes, 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 yes. I mean, I like this deal, and basically, but because of that, they had to well, obviously, they needed to do something to clear up some cap space to basically sign him to this deal, and we found out today that domino dropped with Avery Bradley getting traded to the Detroit Pistons. So, and we thought eventually this was going to be a sign and trade with Jay Crowder going to the Jazz, but doesn't look like that's going to happen now. And this was coming off of Gordon Hayward's coming off of his best season this year, where he started like 73 games and averaged almost 22 points a game and about almost 5.5 rebounds a game. So yeah, I like this. I mean, this will definitely take some of the pressure off of Isaiah Thomas to do all the scoring, and yeah, I mean, could this help them eventually get past the Cleveland Cavaliers? I want maybe not, but I think there's definitely going to be some more moves they need to do. But definitely, I like this, and I can't wait to see what. I mean, is he going to have that number 20 that he's going to wear?
Yeah,
but
yes, he is.
He is. All right. I was just wondering about that, but yeah, you definitely got another big time scorer there. So definitely, this is going to help them. But unfortunately, like I said, it came at a price with Avery Bradley getting traded. But who cares? I like this move. So Florio, what are your thoughts on Gordon Hayward going to the Celtics?
It definitely makes them. It definitely makes them a serious threat to Cleveland. I mean, what else is there to say? I mean, and like you said, Bullock, Avery Bradley traded to the Detroit Pistons for Marcus Morris, and but we talked about how Chris Paul and James Harden together was going to be beneficial for Houston. Now let's look at Gordon Hayward and Isaiah Thomas together for the Celtics, and how they're now officially the biggest threat to the Cleveland Cavaliers in the Eastern Conference. And I think they're going to really give Cleveland a run for their money this time. And who knows, maybe they have a chance for an upset this time around. Maybe they can beat Cleveland now that they have Gordon Hayward. And another move, they also let Kelly Olynyk go. Kelly Olynyk signing a $50 million deal with the Miami Heat today. So you've now lost Avery Bradley to Detroit, and now you've lost Kelly Olynyk to Miami. But I'm sure it's still worth it to Bullock, because I mean, I know he wasn't the only Celtic fan who was pushing for Hayward to sign with Boston. I mean, our good friends Eric Carrier, another old school friend of ours, Kevin Creighton, he was pushing for it. Our good friend of the show, Dan Kamanapali, he was pushing for it. And I know how excited all of you guys must be to have Gordon Hayward now joining the Boston Celtics, and him and Isaiah Thomas. That's going to be a great 1-2 punch. And those two could definitely counteract, and give, LeBron and Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love a major run for their money, especially if they meet in the playoffs again next season. Of course, they met in the conference finals this past year. Cleveland, of course, won that series in 5 games before losing to Golden State in the finals. So yeah, that is a humongous move for the Boston Celtics. I like this move very much. And according to Nesson.com, an article that they printed about 13 hours ago, Gordon Hayward will wear the number 20 next season. So we'll see how that goes. But nonetheless, congratulations, Celtics. I mean, that was I mean, they got their man, and you know, we've seen it many times in sports where you know your favorite team has had to give up valuable commodities to get the high priced talent. And you've seen what my New York Rangers have done in the NHL. I mean, we had to get rid of some wonderful talent to get that equally wonderful talent. I mean, I've seen that done many times before.
And the thing is, the Avery Bradley, I mean, the Celtics weren't going to be able to afford to keep him. So it's best that you trade him away and get something back in return than keeping him and letting him walk in free agency and getting nothing in return.
And what do you make of Kelly Olynyk going to Miami, Bully?
Well, I'm not surprised. I mean, obviously we knew he was also going to be the odd man out, and he was looking to get paid, and he found the team to do it, and it's the Miami Heat. So we'll definitely wait and see how that all plays out.
Absolutely. So so there you go. So that's the story, and we're sticking to it. So so congratulations indeed to Kyle Lowry. I mean to Kyle Lowry. We're gonna get into him in a minute. Gordon Hayward. I do apologize for being a little loopy here. I mean, MF being out of our show tonight really threw me for a loop. So I honestly wasn't expecting him to not be on tonight, but technical difficulties, they can happen at any time. So all right. With that being said, let's move on to our next NBA hot stove story, and that is Kyle Lowry, the aforementioned Kyle Lowry. Now we're going to get into this. Free agent point guard Kyle Lowry has announced he's re-signing with the Toronto Raptors. The two sides agreed to a 3-year, $100 million deal, sources told ESPN. At the end of the day, this was an easy decision, Lowry said in a post on the Players Tribune. And all of those roads, they all led me back to the same place, home. They all led me back to Toronto. Lowry opted out of the final year of his contract with the Raptors in May. The three-time All-Star had 1 year and $12 million remaining on the 4-year, $48 million deal he signed in July 2014. After the season, Lowry told reporters that his main consideration in choosing where to sign would be his ability to win a championship. I want a ring, he said in May. That's all that drives me. I want to just get better. I want to have fun. I want to win a ring. I want to make sure my family is happy. That's all I've thought about right now. In his post Sunday, Lowry said he believes that a championship is in Toronto's NBA future. My heart is telling me that this is the best city in the world with the best basketball fans in the world, Lowry wrote. It's telling me that the Raptors can be a championship-level team sooner than later. Lowry's deal now pushes the Raptors into the luxury tax for the first time since the 2003-04 season. Lowry averaged career best of 22.4 points, 7 assists, and 4.8 rebounds per game this past season, but was limited to 60 games because of a right wrist injury that required surgery in February. He also missed Game 4 of the team's second-round series against the Cleveland Cavaliers with an ankle injury. Lowry, a Philadelphia native, has spent the past 5 seasons in Toronto after previous stops with Memphis and Houston. Lowry was ranked number 4 on the list of top available free agents this offseason, compiled by ESPN's Kevin Pelton. So, thoughts on this? Well, another good move. I mean, Toronto, another one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference. I like Kyle Lowry. I really do. I mean, he is a very talented player. I mean, I saw him, when he was at Villanova. I mean, another Villanova product, Big East product. You know me and my love for the Big East, especially Villanova. And yeah, I mean, he didn't really do much in Memphis and Houston, but since he got to Toronto, I mean, he has really broken out and become, one of the more underrated players in the game. And I like Toronto. Toronto's got a good young team, and they're definitely in that upper echelon in the Eastern Conference. But I think at the absolute best, they're a second-round playoff team, if I'm going to be real honest with you. Because to me, when it comes to the East, it's all about Cleveland and it's all about Boston, especially after they got Hayward. So yeah, this is definitely a major blessing for the Toronto Raptors. They certainly need it, and you've got him and DeRozan still doing things, and I mean Toronto, they're going to hang around. They're going to be contenders for sure, but I just don't think they're a championship caliber level team. I mean, I got to tell it like it is. No disrespect to Lowry and no disrespect to the Raptors, but as long as, you know, LeBron and all of them are around in Cleveland, and as long as you've got Isaiah Thomas and now Gordon Hayward, and especially with how great the Celtics were this past season, I really can't put Toronto past Cleveland or Boston. And hey, the last 2 years, Toronto has had their issues with Cleveland. I mean, 2 years ago, they got beaten in 6 games in the conference finals. They were within 2 victories of going to their first ever NBA Finals 2 years ago, but came up just short. And then this past year, they got swept in the second round by Cleveland, and you know the rest of that story. So I'm happy for Lowry. I'm happy for Toronto. I like the move, absolutely, but I just don't think they're at that level yet. I think it's still all about Cleveland and Boston in the East, if I'm being real honest. So that's all I can say on that. So, Michael Bullock, your thoughts on Kyle Lowry, 3-year, $100 million extension with Toronto?
Yeah, I like this. I mean, you definitely want to keep one of their best players, and definitely, I mean, since he got to the Toronto Raptors back in 2012, I mean, he's basically one of the reasons why Toronto has been in playoff contention for all these years, especially last season where they got to the conference finals, eventually losing to the Cleveland Cavaliers. And yeah, I mean, with everything he's done for them, and I mean, was an All NBA team back in 2016, a 3-time All-Star, and definitely is the all-time leader for Toronto in triple doubles, and he led the team in 3-point field goals in 2013, 14, and yeah, I mean the numbers. I mean, got better and better. I mean, when he got to Toronto, I mean, first year was a tough one, but his best year obviously came this year when he averaged almost 22 and a half points a game. So yeah, so I like this move, and like you said, they're not there yet with the Cleveland Cavaliers and especially the Boston Celtics. I mean, I still think they need to make another move or two if they want to be in that conversation. So yeah, so that's pretty much all I can say. So Florio, I think it's on to the NBA awards recap.
Yes, it is, and for the first time ever, the NBA actually put together an awards ceremony, a big spectacle show, of course, just like with the NHL awards. It was their first ever awards show. It was held back on June 26th at Basketball City at Pier 36 in New York City. It was hosted by Drake and the NBA inside the NBA crew: Ernie Johnson, Shaq, Kenny Smith, Charles Barkley, and these are the awards. Most Valuable Player, Russell Westbrook, Oklahoma City Thunder. Rookie of the Year, Malcolm Brogdon, Milwaukee Bucks. Most Improved Player, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Milwaukee Bucks. Defensive Player of the Year, Draymond Green from the champion Golden State Warriors. Sixth Man of the Year went to Eric Gordon of the Houston Rockets. Coach of the Year was Mike D'Antoni of the Houston Rockets. The Twyman Stokes Teammate of the Year, that went to Dirk Nowitzki of the Dallas Mavericks. NBA Hustle Award, that went to Patrick Beverley of the Houston Rockets. NBA Sportsmanship Award went to Kemba Walker of the Charlotte Hornets. The Lifetime Achievement Award, there was only one you could have given that to. That was, of course, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Bill Russell of the Boston Celtics. The NBA Cares Community Assist Award, another Boston Celtic, a current Boston Celtic. In fact, the face of the Celtics now, Isaiah Thomas. The Executive of the Year Award went to Bob Myers from the world champion Golden State Warriors. And the Sager Strong Award was presented to Monty Williams of the San Antonio Spurs. They announced the all defensive team and the all rookie team. They also had fan awards. Russell Westbrook won for best style. Draymond Green, Stephen Curry, and Kevin Durant teamed up to win the assist of the year. Kawhi Leonard was the block of the year. Victor Oladipo had the dunk of the year. Russell Westbrook, the game winner of the year. Klay Thompson with the performance of the year. And Kevin Durant with the best playoff moment. So I don't know if we should get into the fan awards, but I think we'll only get into the main awards here. So with all that being said, Michael Bullock, you heard everything from the MVP award to the Sager Strong Award. I think we should only get into that. I don't know. I don't think fan awards should count. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think we should get into things like
yeah, we're not going to talk about that nonsense.
Well, like which fan? Oh, those. Yeah, the things like the MVP.
Yeah, the main awards.
The Executive of the Year, the Sixth Man Award.
The main awards basically.
Yeah,
we'll get into that. So Westbrook wins the MVP. You heard the list. So your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think they got this right with Russell Westbrook and the season that he had. I mean, he averaged double this season, and I mean, it hasn't been done in a long time, but definitely, I mean, it was one of the reasons why Oklahoma was in contention. So yeah. So and then when it comes to the Rookie of the Year, Malcolm Brogdon, I think that was a good choice there. With the season he had, and the Executive of the Year, of course, Bob Myers of Golden State. I mean, with the way Golden State was in contention, of course, getting Kevin Durant, and now he's a two-time NBA champion. Award went to Eric Gordon. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. Yeah, of course, talking about the Coach of the Year went to Mike D'Antoni of the Houston Rockets, and I think they got this one right. I mean, what Mike D'Antoni did to turn him into a playoff caliber team. I mean, I would have been surprised if Greg Popovich got it with what he's done with San Antonio, or with what Eric Spoelstra did with the Heat this season. So, and I agree with the most improved player and the defensive player of the year. I mean, Draymond Green, no surprise with that. I mean, he's probably their best defensive player and makes big plays for. And like I said, is the reason why Golden State's been that good. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I can say when it comes to the main awards. What do you think? Do you think they got it right?
When it comes to the MVP, absolutely. I mean, there was only one way you could have gone, and that was Russell Westbrook. I mean, with all those triple doubles and everything else, of course he had to win that. I mean, I even went on the record and said he was going to be the MVP. You know, when we had NBA power rankings, this past season. And Rookie of the Year, I really don't know. That could have gone either way, but Brogdon had a great year for Milwaukee, so I guess that was fine. Antetokounmpo, absolutely. I mean, had a great year for Milwaukee. I mean, he definitely came along. Draymond Green with the Defensive Player of the Year award, absolutely. Eric Gordon with the Sixth Man. And Coach of the Year, I could see D'Antoni. I mean, why not? I mean, with Houston, I mean, they struggled before, but they brought him in, and he got them back up to par there. Harden had a hell of a year, and you could have made an argument for him to be MVP, but Westbrook was just too damn good, so that's why they had to give it to him. D'Antoni beating out Popovich and Spoelstra for the Coach of the Year. Surprised Steve Kerr wasn't nominated. I mean, after the great year he had with Golden State, winning another title, but D'Antoni's got Houston right back in that mix, no doubt about it. Teammate of the year, Dirk Nowitzki. That's fine. I don't know much. I know nothing about that award. The Hustle Award, Patrick Beverly. Yeah, definitely show that hustle. Kemba Walker with the sportsmanship. He is one of the most gentlemanly players in the game. That's basically their version of the Lady Byng Award. That's all I can say there. Bill Russell. I mean, come on. A Lifetime Achievement Award. That was a no-brainer. I mean, you look at everything Bill Russell has done for the game, not just for the Celtics, but for the game of basketball itself. I mean, winning all those championships with the Celtics. What do you win, like 10 or 11 championships? More than any player in the game. So, of course, it's Bill Russell. I mean, nobody can touch him. He's a living legend. Isaiah Thomas with the Community Assist Award. Well done there. Bob Myers. I mean, you look at the job he's done with Golden State, mainly for, pulling off that the big move of last year's free agency, getting Kevin Durant. And that turned them immediately around. And, they went on to win it all. And Kevin Durant, surprise, surprise, was the MVP of the finals. And Monty Williams, I mean, I know he's been struggling. He's been going through some things with I know he's been going. Yeah, he got that for the courage and the grace he showed after the death of his first wife. His wife died from injury sustained in a car crash in Oklahoma City. 2 days before receiving that award, he married Lisa Keith from the Spurs. The Spurs' former director of marketing, and love has found its way down the aisle of wedded bliss and joined together by holy matrimony. They dated over 10 years, and they are proud to be Mr. and Mrs. Williams. They are a blended happy family at 10 and plan to increase their family tree in the near future. So, yeah, he was a player, and of course he's a coach, and he's an associate head coach with San Antonio. So they absolutely got that right, and he definitely deserves it. So congratulations to him, and congratulations to all the winners. I mean, I can't really give you a full perspective of everything. We don't have that much time, so I don't want to take too much time on this. So, but the Westbrook thing, that's the one that I really wanted to get into. He absolutely deserved it, and that's really all I can say there. And I mean, Malcolm Brogdon, I mean, he averaged about 10 points a game, had about 4 assists a game, a steal. I mean, not really sure about that one. So, but he was awesome in Virginia. I know that for a fact. Antetokounmpo, I mean, I definitely didn't mind him winning that. I mean, he had a career year this year. He had 23 points. He had about 9 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 blocks, and 2 steals a game, and averaged about 25 in the playoffs, even though they lost to Toronto in the first round. But yeah, I definitely see why they gave him that Most Improved award. And Draymond Green winning the Defensive Player of the Year award. I mean, I know he's controversial. I know he can be a noggin, a diva, but 8 rebounds, 7 assists, a couple of steals, and about a block and a half a game, and then in the postseason, I mean, had 9 rebounds and about 7 assists and 2 steals and 2 blocks a game, averaging 13. So I could see why they would give him that award. And and then Eric Gordon with the 6th man had a great year, and yeah. So and then D'Antoni. So yeah, we pretty much covered everything else, and so congratulations to all the winners, and it was a good show, and I definitely look forward to seeing what they have in store for us next year. So so that's all I can say there. So now we're gonna move on to something that I'm definitely looking forward to getting into here. The Hockey Hall of Fame. The Hockey Hall of Fame just recently announced their class of 2017. And bear with me a moment as I pull up the list of the class of 2017. And yeah. All right. In no particular order, um, Paul Correa. Paul Correa going in. Teemu Solani going in. Mark Recchi, Dave Andreychuk, and longtime Canadian University coach Claire Drake. And Canadian star Danielle Goyette became the 5th women's player elected. And Boston Bruins owner Jeremy Jacobs, he got in as part of the builder category. So, yeah. So, in no particular order, we have Dave Andreychuk along with Danielle Goyette on the women's side, Paul Correa, Mark Recchi, Teemu Solani, Claire Drake, and Jeremy Jacobs. That's your Hockey Hall of Fame class of 2017, and this is a loaded class. I gotta tell you. I mean, Dave Andreychuk. I mean, when you think about everything he did in the world of in the NHL, I mean, Dave Andreychuk. He played for 6 teams in his illustrious career. He played for the Buffalo Sabres, the Toronto Maple Leafs, the New Jersey Devils, Bullets, Boston Bruins, the Colorado Avalanche, and the Tampa Bay Lightning. He played from 1982 to 2006, and he retired 640 goals, 698 assists for 1,338 points in the regular season, 43 goals and 54 assists and 97 points in the playoffs. He won, of course, as you know, he went on to win a Stanley Cup with the Tampa Bay Lightning in 2004. He was the captain of that team, and he has the 6th most games played in NHL history with 1,639. 14th most goals scored in NHL history with 640, tied with Dennis Savard for 28th in league history, 1,338 points, holds the record for most career power play goals with 274, led the league in power play goals in 91-92 with 28, did the same in 92-93 with 32, played in the with a 2-time All-Star in 1990 and 1994, won the Stanley Cup with the Tampa Bay Lightning in 2004, and of course inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame this season. And he had a lot of issues. He had some health issues, and but he found a way through it. And congratulations to Dave Andreychuk. One of the all-time greats, and definitely deserves the honor, no doubt about it. And I'm glad he's going in. Danielle Goyette, I don't know much about this young lady. Except that I know she was inducted. She's for playing. I don't know much about her. She played for Team Canada. That I do know. She won 2 Olympic gold medals and a silver. She played for. She scored the winning goal for Team Canada, and like I said, I apologize. I don't know much about her, but she played in numerous international championships, the IIHF Women's Championships, won several gold medals, and a silver. Of course, won the 2 golds in 2002 in Salt Lake City, in 2006 in Turin, and a silver medal in '98 in Nagano. She was a coach as well. She coached with the University of Calgary Dinos women's hockey program, and they won it all in 2011, 2012. So congratulations to her. She goes into the Hall of Fame, only the 5th woman ever selected for the honor. Paul Correa, I mean, you already know his story. I mean, one of the all-time greats. I mean, so fun to watch back in the day. He played from 1994 to 2010. Played for 4 teams. He played with the Mighty Ducks the Anaheim Mighty Ducks, the Colorado Avalanche, the Nashville Predators, and the St. Louis Blues, and had to retire in June of 2011 after sitting out that season because of post-concussion syndrome. And, you know, you think of all the honors he has, most notably, you know, winning the well, actually, no, he did not win a Stanley Cup. He was not on that Duck team that won the Stanley Cup in 07. He was on the team that got to the finals in 03, but they lost in 7 to Jersey. All rookie team in 95, first team All-Star in 96, 97, 99, second All-Star in 2000, 2003, 2 Lady Byng Memorial trophies, 96 and 97, 7-time All-Star, and won 4 skills competition puck control championships. That's what he did in the NHL. We're not gonna talk about everything else. Several records with the Anaheim Ducks, and so one of the best players to never win a Stanley Cup. He retired with 402 career goals, 587 assists, 989 points in the regular season, and then 16 goals and 23 assists with 39 points in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Of course, 2003 got to the finals, lost to Jersey in 7, and that's the only time he ever got to go for a Stanley Cup. So, but nonetheless, one of the greatest and one of the most fun and exciting players I ever saw. So, congratulations to Paul Kariya. Mark Recchi, what can you say about Mark Recchi? I mean, here's a guy who should have been in a long time ago, if I'm going to be real honest with you. But I'm so glad he's finally his 4th year of eligibility, for goodness sakes. He should have been in at least 3 or 4 years ago. He should have been in. He played for 7 teams in his career, played with the Pittsburgh Penguins, Philadelphia Flyers, Montreal Canadiens, Carolina Hurricanes, Atlanta Thrashers, Tampa Bay Lightning, and Bullets, and he retired with Bullets Boston Bruins. He played from 1988 to 2011, and he won 5 Stanley Cups. Pittsburgh Penguins in 1991. Carolina, he won 3 as a player and 2 as a development coach. He won as a player with Pittsburgh in 91, with Carolina in 2006. And Michael Bullock, you should know, he was a member of your Boston Bruins when they won the Stanley Cup in 2011. And he also won 2 Stanley. He's also been with the Pittsburgh Penguins for their last 2 Stanley Cups as a development coach. 7-time All-Star as well. He was also the MVP of the All-Star game in 1997, named to the NHL's second All-Star team in 92, and won a gold medal in the World Championships in 97. And 15 years he went without winning a Stanley Cup. Holds the Philadelphia Flyers regular season scoring record, 53 goals and 70 assists. Oldest player to record 5 assists in a game. 13th player to score 1,500 points in his career. Oldest player to score a Cup final goal at 43 years and 126 days in 2011. 3rd oldest player to win a Stanley Cup, Chris Chelios, was 46. Lester Patrick in 44. One of only 11 players to win the Stanley Cup with 3 different teams, and the 8th player to win a Stanley Cup in 3 different decades, 90s, 2000s, and 2010s. Long overdue, and I couldn't be any more happier for him. So one of the great players of all time, and definitely one of the classiest players of all time. So Mark Recchi, congratulations to you, sir. What can you say about Teemu Selanne? I mean, what hasn't been said already. I mean, he played with the Jokerit. I don't know where that is. But in the NHL, he played with the Winnipeg Jets, the Anaheim Ducks, the San Jose Sharks, and the Colorado Avalanche. Played from 1989 to 2014. And of course, we all know what he did. Just give me a minute. I'm gonna try to get Recchi's career numbers here. Mark Recchi retired with 577 goals, 956 assists, 1,533 points in his regular season career. Postseason career, 61 goals, 87 assists, 148 points. That was in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and that was Mark Recchi's numbers. And Teemu Selanne, I mean, like I said, think about what he did in his career. He retired with 684 goals, 773 assists, 1,457 points in the regular season, 44 goals and 44 assists, 88 total points in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Of course, won the Stanley Cup with the Anaheim Ducks in 2007. Won the Calder Memorial Trophy, Rookie of the Year in 93, was also on the All-Rookie team, first team All-Star, 92, 93, and 96, 97. 10-time All-Star. Won the Rocket Richard Trophy in 98, 99. 05, 06, won the Bill Masterton Memorial Trophy. And then, of course, 06, 07, his biggest claim to fame, winning the Stanley Cup with the Anaheim Ducks when they beat the Ottawa Senators. So, and then all of his international success, 1 silver medal, 3 bronze medals with Finland. And I mean, what else is there to say? I mean, this guy was so fun to watch. I got to be real honest. I mean, he was just so damn fun to watch. And I mean, I honestly don't know what to say about it. I mean, there's not enough words to describe the body of work of Teemu Selanne. So, Teemu Selanne, congratulations to you, sir. Claire Drake, I don't know much about this guy. I know he was a university coach. He with the University of he went to the University of British Columbia and University of Alberta. He only had 1 season as a coach with the Edmonton Oilers, but here's what he did. He was named the CIAU Hockey Coach of the Year in 75 and 88, co-coach of the Canadian Men's Olympic Hockey Team, head coach of Team Canada at the Spangler Cup tournament. They won a gold medal, Hockey Alberta Centennial Award, Order of Hockey in Canada, and he's going in as a builder. He had 1 coaching season with the Edmonton Oilers, 75, 76. They did nothing. He was fired. They went 18, 28, and 2, but that's nothing. He also has an arena named after him at the University of Alberta, the Claire Drake Arena, and also the Claire Drake Award, which is the Canadian Inter-University Sport Rookie of the Year Awards. So congratulations to Claire Drake. And last but not least, I know Michael Bullock's going to be happy about this. Jeremy Jacobs of his Boston Bruins. He's going in as a builder. I mean, you look at what he did with the Boston Bruins. He's been the owner of the team since all the way back in 1975. You know, he replaced numerous managers and coaches, Harry Sinden, Peter Chiarelli, Claude Julien, Cam Neely. And then, of course, they won the Stanley Cup in 2011, as everybody knows. Went back to the finals again 2 years later, but they came up just short against Chicago in what was the greatest final ever. I don't care what anybody says. He's known for his philanthropy, obviously. He also owns an interest in the NESN Network, the New England Sports Network. He shares ownership of that with John Henry, who's with the Boston Red Sox. And he received the Lester Patrick Award. And he's going in as a builder to this Hockey Hall of Fame. And you think of what he did, you know, the principal owner, chairman of the NHL Board of Governors, and congratulations to him. And I want to congratulate, on behalf of all of us here at Strictly Sports, congratulations to the entire 2017 Hockey Hall of Fame class. So, Michael Bullock, you heard the names and the accolades. We don't need to share the accolades. All I need from you, sir, is just your thoughts on this wonderful Hall of Fame class. So, Michael Bullock, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, this is, like you said, this is definitely a loaded class and a pretty good one. Like you said, I mean, Teemu Selanne, I mean, with what he did in his 21 seasons, playing almost 1,500 games, and with all the goals he scored, and joining his teammate in Anaheim in Paul Kariya. So that's got to be a nice feeling for him. But I mean, I mean, almost 1,000 points in his career as he played for 4 teams during his career. But unfortunately, he had to retire in 2011 due to various concussions that plagued his career, and that's the only problem. I mean, if it weren't for those damn concussions, I mean, he could have put up some more numbers. I mean, no doubt about it. And Mark Recchi, I mean, definitely one of the classiest guys, and basically, of course, the Stanley Cups he won, especially ending his career with the Boston Bruins, winning a Stanley Cup. I mean, I'll never forget that night when Zdeno Chara, I mean, after he accepted the cup, who was the first person he passed it off to? It was Mark Recchi, and it only seemed right. So, and then you got Dave Andreychuk, and definitely he was definitely one of the greatest left wingers at his position with over 1,300 points in his 23 seasons, and he finally got in his ninth year of eligibility. I don't know much about. I mean, Goyette, of course. Yeah, only the 5th woman to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, and then Drake, of course, he coached the University of Alberta's hockey team for 28 years with 6 University Cup titles, and of course Jeremy Jacobs, the current owner of the Bruins, and has been since 1975. So, yeah, definitely congratulations to the entire class of 2017, and they will be inducted on November 13th. So I definitely cannot wait to see what that night's going to be like when those men receive their honor. So yeah, so there's nothing more to say. So Florio, I guess we're just going to jump right into the power rankings.
Well, actually, no, we have one more story left.
Oh, all right.
Connor McDavid.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Of course. Reigning NHL MVP Connor McDavid signed a massive 8-year contract extension with the Edmonton Oilers. The team announced, according to Elliot Friedman of Sportsnet, the deal is expected to pay him $12.5 million per season. The 20-year-old megastar was dominant in his second NHL campaign, registering 30 goals and 70 assists for 100 points to win the Art Ross Trophy as the league leading scorer. McDavid also won the Hart Trophy as the NHL's most valuable player, as well as the Ted Lindsay Award, which is given to the NHL's most outstanding player as voted on by players. Most impressively, McDavid was the driving force behind Edmonton's return to the playoffs this past season after a decade-long drought. It was clear during McDavid's rookie season that he was a special player poised to dominate the league for many years to come. An injury limited the former number 1 overall pick to 45 games, but he still managed 16 goals and 32 assists for 48 points. Oilers GM Peter Chiarelli made it clear in May that locking up the Phenom long-term was his top priority, according to NHL.com's Derek Van Diest. Chiarelli also suggested he would be able to put together a strong roster moving forward, even though McDavid would take up a sizable chunk of salary cap space. Cap-wise, we're okay next year. We could basically stay the same. It's the following year when Mr. McDavid's contract will kick in, so I have to be cognizant of that. But we've got a lot of different rosters we've looked at in the sense at numbers for specific guys' term. But the NHL salary cap is expected to stay flat or raise a little bit. So we're working off 73, 74, 75 million, and we'll see where it's at. We'll certainly have the resources to put another contending team in place. Edmonton has a number of promising young pieces around McDavid, and as long as he is on the team, the Oilers have a chance to be competitive. McDavid is similar to Pittsburgh Penguins star Sidney Crosby in that regard, especially since he makes those around him better. There is little doubt McDavid will be the face of the NHL in the coming years, and Edmonton has put itself in position to vie for multiple Stanley Cups by keeping him in the fold. So, Michael Bullock, let's start it off with you here. Connor McDavid, staying with the Edmonton Oilers. They're going to be competitive, and they're going to be going for multiple Stanley Cups in the years to come.
Oh yeah, they'll definitely be going for multiple Stanley Cups in the years to come, and I mean, I mean, I'm going to say right now, and I do agree, he is not only the face of the franchise, but definitely the face of the NHL. I mean, who knew? I mean, the Edmonton Oilers. They knew they were getting something special when they picked him first overall in the 2015 NHL entry draft, and then and then he signed his a 3-year entry level contract with the team. Made his debut on October 9th. And he scored his first goal in a 4-2 loss to the Dallas Stars, and then basically on October 5th, 2016, he was named the captain of the Edmonton Oilers, and which ultimately made him the youngest captain in NHL history. Yeah, I mean, basically at 19 years and two. Yeah, so and then basically on November 19th, he recorded his hat trick of his career in a 5-2 win for the Edmonton Oilers, then basically and then McDavid recorded his 100th career point, and he finished the season well. In his first year in 2015-16, he scored 16 goals and 32 assists, but this year was his breakout year where he scored 30 goals and 70 assists and had 100 points. I mean, what a season he had, and because of that, he won the Art Ross Trophy as scorer, and he was the third youngest player ever to win that award. Only Sidney Crosby and Wayne Gretzky were younger when they won, and McDavid had 11 more points than the next highest scores, which were of course Sidney Crosby and Patrick Kane. And he also won the Hart Memorial Trophy, and he also got the Ted Lindsay Award and was an NHL first All-Star team. And then basically on July 5th, he was awarded an 8-year, $100 million extension. The average annual value of $12.5 million per year is the highest in the NHL, surpassing the $10.5 million held by Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane. So, like this deal, he's not only going to be the face of the franchise, but the face of the NHL for years to come. So, love this deal, Florio. So, Florio, it's yours.
Agree to disagree here, Bullock. I agree with you that I love the deal. I also agree with you that he's the face of the Edmonton Oilers. Unfortunately, I can't really say he's the face of the NHL. That right now, I hate to say it, is Sidney Crosby because of what he's done with the Pittsburgh Penguins the last 2 years. They, of course, you know, they are the faces of the league as it is, and Gary Bettman wouldn't have it any other way, of course. You know, that's my little conspiracy theory for the rant. I'll save that for another day. But getting back to Connor McDavid, I mean, this young man is going to be so special, and I mean, think of what he could have done if he didn't get hurt in his rookie year. I mean, he could have had a hell of a year. But this season, 30 goals, 70 assists, 100 points, all those awards. I mean, winning the Hart Memorial Trophy and the Ted Lindsay Award, and of course the Art Ross Trophy. I mean, the Edmonton Oilers, they're going to be contenders for years to come. And you know, we haven't seen, you know, we haven't had this kind of excitement in Edmonton in what, like almost 30 years, since the days of Wayne Gretzky and Mark Messier and Paul Coffey and Yari Curry and Grant Fuhr and all those fun teams back in the day that were winning Stanley Cups left and right. So I would love to see this team win a Stanley Cup. I think they have the tools to do it. I just don't think, especially if they run into, you know, one of the powerhouses in the Eastern Conference, you know, like your Pittsburghs or your Washingtons and, you know, teams like that. I really don't see them getting by. But this past year, I mean, it broke my heart to see them lose to Anaheim. I mean, especially in that fifth game, you know, when they had that 3-0 lead with like 3 minutes to go and they choked it away. And then Anaheim, of course, went on to win the series in 7. But, you know, it is what it is. But that array of young talent, especially Connor McDavid, they're going to be fun to watch for years to come. And I agree with Bullock that I love the deal. I agree he's also the face of that franchise. I think face of the league is a little bit of a reach right now, Bullock.
Well, ultimately, he will be.
Well, if he wins Stanley Cups and you know, something happens to Sidney Crosby along the way, that's the only way I can see that happening. But I don't think he's the face of the league, not right now. As long as Sidney Crosby and those Penguins are around, and unfortunately, they're going to be around for years to come. Unfortunately, we've had to endure back-to-back Stanley Cups. Who knows how many more that team can win? As long as, you know, they got them around, as long as they got Bettman in their back pocket. So, you know, that's just my little conspiracy theory for the Knights. So I'm not going to waste any more time on that. So, but Connor McDavid, congratulations on the new deal. I mean, $12.5 million for the next 8 years. That ain't too bad, my friend. So well done, well deserved, and I'm rooting for him, and I'm also rooting for that team. I mean, they're fun to watch. So that's all I can say there. So this is the point where we would have talked about the big controversy in the world of boxing. Jeff Horn with the upset of the century, defeating Manny Pacquiao, very controversial. I wish we could have had MF on tonight. I mean, I know MF would have had a lot to say about it, but then again, MF actually did have something to say about it. If you want to know what MF had to say, just go over to his channel, Braves Fan 95, and he will and you'll see the video that he posted shortly after the fight last Saturday night. There was a major uproar. I mean, he did a video. Derek Ferreira did a video. I mean, you can get their thoughts on that, especially MF's thoughts. So unfortunately, we're going to have to refrain from that because, you know, Bullock and I don't cover boxing. And unfortunately, we're also going to have to skip out on our UFC 213 preview because we don't do that either. That also was tailor-made for MF. But MF did say that sometime tomorrow he will post a UFC 213 preview video of his own. And I'm sure next week we'll probably have the recap of it. Hopefully, we'll have MF back with us next week. So that's the story there. So right now, without any further ado, we're gonna move on now to the latest installment of the Major League Baseball Power Rankings, and I gotta say, you know, Michael Bullock and I, we had a little bit of a chat earlier, and we had a hard time figuring out who was going to be, you know, at the top and whatnot. But we finally figured it out, and I gave him a hand. So what I'm definitely gonna have to make some changes based on some results from tonight. Maybe a couple of changes at the absolute best, and looking at the standings and the whole 9 yards. So what I am going to do, I'm definitely going to do that. So I'm just going to make a couple of indemnities here, nothing too serious. So bear with me for just a minute, and I definitely know what I want to do. So okay, I think this is how I want to do it. So I think this is how we should go about it. So I'm just gonna leave these as they are. So all right. Before I give you my number 10, I do have to mention some duds here. My first dud, I hate to say it, it's gonna have to be my team, the New York Yankees. They've now lost 3 in a row. They're going to be 3-7 in their last 10. So unfortunately, as much as it hurts me to do it, my Yankees are going to have to be out of the power rankings, I'm afraid. And then I have another dud. The Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim are a dud as well. They're also 3-7 in their last 10. So they're going to have to be out on the outside looking in as well. Let me see. And I think that might be it when it comes to dud. Well, actually, no. I have another dud. And believe it or not, this team was one of our more consistent teams in the power rankings, including being number 1 a few weeks ago. The Arizona Diamondbacks. They're out of the power rankings. They've lost 3 in a row. They're 4-6 in their last 10. So unless I see better, I'm afraid they're going to have to be on the outside looking in. So they're gone. So I don't believe I have any honorable mentions. Well, actually, I have a couple of honorable mentions. St. Louis Cardinals. The record's a little on the low side, 41-45. They're 6-4 in their last 10, but they did lose. And Michael Fletcher's Atlanta Braves, 41-44. They lost, but they're 5-5 in their last 10. So Atlanta slowly making a run there. So I think I have everything all set to go. So and I think that's it. So I'm ready. I actually put these rankings together. So here we go. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to put a team that is 4-6 in their last 10 games in the power rankings this time around because of the lack of spots. This is one of those reluctant entrants. And thankfully, this is the only reluctant entrant. The other ones I feel confident about. My number 10, reluctantly, I have no choice. I have to put them in. The record is 500. As long as your record's at least 500 or better, you're fine, regardless of the last 10. I got to go with your reigning and defending World Series champion Chicago Cubs, 43-43. They won today against Pittsburgh, 6-1 behind a big day from Anthony Rizzo. But they are 4-6 in the last 10. That's the only real caveat there. They're 10th in ERA, 11th in home runs allowed, 17th in runs scored, 28th in batting average. No question about it. I mean, they're far and away the most disappointing team in baseball this year. I mean, especially after that epic World Series win last season. Boy, have they gone down in a hurry. Since our last ranking last week, let's see what they did. I believe they lost 2 out of 3 to the Cincinnati Reds. They went 1-1 against the Tampa Bay Rays in a 2-game interleague series. They got pounded by Milwaukee in a makeup rain delayed game yesterday, but they did win tonight against Pittsburgh. So that's the only good thing they got going for them. They got 2 more games against the Pirates this weekend, which will take them up to the All-Star break, including Baseball Night in America tonight on Fox. And Bullock, we're actually going to be getting this game on our Fox affiliate. So if you're interested in that, you can check it out. And that's it for the All-Star break. And then they return from the All-Star break next weekend for a 3-game series at Camden Yards against the Baltimore Orioles. So that's all I can say there. Most definitely the most disappointing team in baseball as far as I'm concerned. Like I said, especially after that emotional and maybe the most epic World Series win of all time. And with all that talent, it's just so hard to believe that this team is only 43-43, whereas I believe at this time last year, they had one of the best records, if not the best record in baseball at this time last year. So with that, number 10, reluctantly, your reigning and defending World Series champion Chicago Cubs. So Michael Bullock, what says you?
Yeah, my number 10 is the Chicago Cubs as well. Reluctantly for me as well. So yeah, you pretty much touched on it. So let's just move on to number 9.
And my number 9 is the Tampa Bay Rays, 45-43. They lost tonight, 5-5 in the last 10 games. They're 5.5 out of first in the AL East. The Rays are 8th in home runs allowed. They're 10th in runs scored. They're 12th in ERA. They're 13th in batting average. And since our last rankings, I think they did well against Baltimore last weekend. Yeah, they took 2 out of 3 from the Baltimore Orioles. They were off on Monday. They split that 2-game interleague series with the Cubs at Wrigley Field. And so far, they're 1-1 against Bullock's Red Sox. They won on Thursday, but they lost tonight. They have 2 more games at home against the Red Sox this weekend, off for the All-Star break, and then they come back from that next Friday night when they go up to Anaheim for a 3-game series with the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. So that's all I can say there. So number 9, Tampa Bay Rays. How about it, Bullock?
Yeah, my number 9 is the Tampa Bay Rays as well. So yeah, so let's just move on to our number 8.
And my number 8, the Minnesota Twins, back in the power rankings, 45 and 41. They're tied with Kansas City for second in the AL Central. They're a game and a half behind Cleveland. Cleveland and Kansas City will both be higher up in the power rankings. I'll tell you that right now. Minnesota, they've won 2 in a row. They're 5-5 in the last 10. Let's see here. They are 16th in runs scored, 18th in batting average, 26th in ERA, 27th in home runs allowed. And let's see what they've done since our last rankings, which dates back to last week. I believe they lost 3 out of 4 to the Kansas City Royals, including, well, they split a day-night doubleheader, but they dominated. But that's what happened there. But they had a good week otherwise. Despite losing 3 out of 4 to Kansas City, they rebounded by winning 2 out of 3 from the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, and so far they're 2 for 2 against the Baltimore Orioles. So that's a very big deal there. They have 2 more games at home against the Orioles this weekend, and then they'll be off for the All-Star break, and then they come back from that next Friday night when they go up to Houston. Oh boy, when they go up against the Houston Astros. And I'll tell you right now, that's going to be major power ranking implications in that one. I'll tell you that. So that's all I can say there. Number 8, Minnesota Twins. How about it, Bullock?
Yeah, the Minnesota Twins are number 8 for me. So yeah, so let's just move right along to number 7.
7. Who do I have at 7? Yeah. Bit of a conundrum here. We have 2 teams that are 6-4 in their last 10 games, but I go by who's currently on the longer winning streak here. So with that being said, I got to give number 7 here to the Washington Nationals. Yes, Washington Nationals are number 7. 51 and 35. It is one of the best records. I believe it's the 3rd best record in the National League, behind the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers. It's a game behind the Diamondbacks for the 2nd best record. They're quite a bit out from the Dodgers, who currently have the best record in the NL. But 51 and 35, a winner tonight. They were a winner tonight against Fletcher's Braves. They're 6-4 in their last 10 games. They're 2nd in batting average, 2nd in runs scored, 8th in ERA, 19th in home runs allowed. And we're going to take a look at what they've done since the rankings of a week ago. They lost 2 out of 3 to the St. Louis Cardinals in St. Louis. They did, however, bounce back. They were supposed to have a 3-game series with the Mets. They played 2 games, and the Nationals won them both. So they kind of technically swept the Mets, but it was more of a 2-game series than a 3, because on Wednesday they got rained out. And they're so far 1-1 against MF's Braves. They lost on Thursday, but they won tonight in walk-off fashion. 2 more games against MF's Braves at home this weekend, off for the All-Star break, of course. That's the theme. and then when they come back from the All-Star break, they're gonna start a 4-game series with the Cincinnati Reds in Cincinnati. So that ought to be interesting to see how that goes down. So Nationals right up there. One of the no big surprise that they're dominating right now, especially in the NL East. They lead that division by 9.5 games over MF's Braves, and they're definitely poised for another postseason run. So big question is, once we get to the postseason, can this team finally have their big moment in the playoffs? They're always great in the regular season, but they just have nothing to show for it in the playoffs. But we'll see what happens. But looking good right now. So Washington Nationals are number 7. So Michael Bullock, how do you feel about that? Do you agree with that?
Good about that, and I am going with the Washington Nationals as my number 7 as well. So
indeed. So now we're going to move on to number 6, and my number 6, your reigning and defending American League champion, Cleveland Indians. They come in at number 6, 46-39, which I believe as of now is the 3rd best record in the American League behind the Red Sox and the Astros. They've won 2 in a row. They're 6-4 in their last 10 games. They lead the AL Central by 1.5 games over both Kansas City and Minnesota. They're 3rd in ERA, 6th in home runs allowed, 12th in both batting average and runs scored. Of course, the big news, of course, as you heard, Terry Francona underwent a heart procedure. So I believe he's going to be out for a little bit. So, and let's see what they've done since our last rankings. Last Friday night, they were rained out against the Tigers. They took 2 out of 3 from the Tigers. They split a day-night doubleheader, and then they won on Sunday. They were off on Monday. The only downside is they lost 2 out of 3 to the San Diego Padres of all teams. I can't believe I'm saying that, but they lost the first 2 games to San Diego, being outscored 7-2 in those 2 games. But back-to-back 11-2 wins. They pounded San Diego 11-2 Thursday night, and then they pounded Detroit 11-2 tonight. They have 2 more games against the Detroit Tigers at home this weekend, and both in prime time. Baseball Night in America on Fox tomorrow, and then your favorite, Bullet, Sunday night baseball on ESPN, Tigers and Indians at Progressive Field in Cleveland. But I think we're going to have something better to do instead of watching that, I'm afraid. I think you know where I'm going. Off for the All-Star break, and when they come back from the All-Star break next Friday night, they're going to be squaring off against the Oakland Athletics for a 3-game series in Oakland. So, which will be part of a 6-game road trip, which also includes a stop in San Francisco. So, we'll get more into that. Well, actually, no, we won't get into that next week because I believe next week, I don't believe we're going to be having power rankings because it's going to be the All-Star break, and it's going to be way too tough to do that. So, I should have put an injunction into Derek, but I'll get into that in just a minute. So, but nonetheless, the Cleveland Indians are number 6. There's no doubt about that. So, Michael Bullock, what says you?
yeah, the Cleveland Indians, they're my number 6 as well. So yeah, there's really nothing more to say. So let's just go right into the top 5, and I will actually start this one off.
All right. And of course, before you do, we want to wish Terry Francona the best as he recovers from it.
Especially since he used to be the manager of my team, and
Yes.
Terry Francona was one of the reasons why Sox broke that curse and,
absolutely,
of course, won a couple of World Series titles. Of course, not just in 04, but in 07. And
yes,
quite honest, and I think he never should have been fired after that collapse in 2011 because it really wasn't all his fault.
No, it was basically the players' fault because they got lazy and complacent. So
yeah, and then the ownership group decided, oh screw it, we're gonna fire him.
Yeah, all because of beer and chicken. Go figure.
Oh, don't get me started with that. With that BS nonsense.
Absolutely. So,
oh, believe me, if we were doing a show at that time, I would have gone off.
Of Of course, absolutely. So, all right.
And
Top five.
on that note of my team, this is who I have at number 5, and that's the Red Sox.
Yes,
On that note,
indeed.
yeah. So yeah, I mean this. Of course, they did win tonight over the Tampa Bay Rays. Of course, 8-3 the final. They're now 50-37.
Second best record.
Uh, yeah, yeah, definitely. A really good record. Of course, they're 7-3 in their last 10. Like I said, they didn't win tonight, and I'll tell you what, Mookie Betts has been playing really good baseball, especially in that series in Toronto. I mean, I mean, he had 8 RBIs in that one game, and Hanley Ramirez has been on an absolute tear. Jackie Bradley Jr. and Chris Sale has been dominant, even though he did lose last night, despite striking out 12 batters. And of course, he's going to the All-Star game, and I wouldn't be surprised if he gets the start for the American League. And of course, then he's going to be in there. And of course, Craig Kimbrell with what he's done as the closer. And yeah, of course, and like you said, of course, they got 3. And of course, they got 2 more against the Tampa Bay Rays, of course, tomorrow and Sunday, and then they're on to the All-Star break. And then after that, their first series after yeah, hold on a second. I'm just trying to.
It's us, man.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yep, first series after the All-Star break, it's against your New York Yankees,
At Fenway.
and that's gonna be major power rankings implication and East uh, uh,
Implications,
as well, because
without a doubt.
Going into that, of course, he's lost, so it's a 4.5 game lead. So if that stays the same, it could be a big series for your team.
Of course.
So my number 5, it is the Red Sox, and nothing else to say. So I'm just gonna give it up to Florio.
Yep, right there with you, man. Boston Red Sox are my number 5 as well. 50-37, second best record in the American League behind Houston. Since our last power rankings, a 3-game sweep of the Toronto Blue Jays at Skydome in Toronto, outscoring them 29-6 in those 3 games. Incredible, including a 15-1 beatdown on Sunday. And then they followed that up by winning 2 out of 3 against the Texas Rangers in Texas. In those 2 wins, they outscored the Rangers 18-9. And so far, they're 1-1 against Tampa Bay. They lost to Tampa on Thursday, but they rebounded with an 8-3 win tonight. They had, like Bullock said, 2 more games against the Rays in Tampa this weekend. They're off of the All-Star break, and then when they come back from that, a huge 4-game series with the New York Yankees at Fenway Park, including a day-night doubleheader on Sunday the 16th. The second game of which, the first game of which will, here you go. Saturday, I got to address this. Saturday, they're going to be on the FS1 afternoon game of the week, 4:00 game on the 15th. That'll be on FS1. And then Sunday the 16th, I believe the second game of that doubleheader will be Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN. And I know Bullock will have a vested interest in that, as will I. So that's all I can say there. They're 3rd in batting average, 4th in ERA, 9th in runs scored, 14th in home runs allowed. Bullock touched on everything. Mookie Betts has been incredible. And they got some good All-Stars. Of course, they had that awesome ceremony for David Ortiz. So what else is there to say on that? So Boston Red Sox, number 5. Absolutely. 100% agree with that. So we'll move on from Boston, and we move on to number 4. And my number 4, it's the team with the best record, not just in the American League, but in all of baseball as well, the Houston Astros. 59-28, 16.5 game lead over both the Angels and the Rangers. They won tonight. They're also 7-3 in their last 10, but we have to give it to Houston because they had the better record than Boston, even though Boston is a first place team as well. But Houston is far and away has the better record. They lead the league in batting average and runs scored. They're 5th in ERA and they're 10th in home runs allowed. And we're gonna look at what they did since our last rankings. They won 2 out of 3 from my New York Yankees. Not a big surprise. They were off on Monday, and then they pounded Michael Fletcher's Atlanta Braves. Swept Fletcher's Braves in that brief 2-game interleague series at SunTrust Park in Atlanta, outscoring the Braves 26-8 in those 2 games. And they're so far 1-1 against the Toronto Blue Jays in this 4-game series. They lost on Thursday 7-4, but tonight pounded the Blue Jays 12-2. 2 more games against the Blue Jays at Skydome this weekend, all for the All-Star break. And when they come back from the All-Star break on next Friday, they will host the Minnesota Twins for a 3-game series. So major implications, power ranking implications in that. So I'm still very high on this team. I say they were going to win the division. They're obviously well on their way to doing that. And I think this team most definitely has what it takes to get to the World Series. And as a matter of fact, if I'm going to be real honest with you, I got them representing the American League in the World Series. So that's all I can say there. So with that being said, number 4, Houston Astros. Michael Bullock, agree or disagree?
I agree. My number 4 is the Houston Astros as well. So best record in the American League, and I think they could definitely represent the American League in that World Series because I'm really keen. But we'll wait and see. So number 4, Houston Astros. All right, on to my number 3, and the number 3 is are the guys from Hollywood, Los Angeles Dodgers. All right, that's who I have as my number 3.
I think we may need to make an indemnity to that, Bullock, because they're currently winning right now against the Kansas City Royals 3-1 in the bottom of the 6th.
All right.
You may have to with the way it's going. Just saying.
Yeah, with the way things are. Yeah, I think we may have to change that. So
yes,
I think we have to put the Kansas City Royals at number 3.
Yes,
that's that. Yeah, I mean that's the way it's. And of course, let me. With scores, especially because we got to see it. Because they are playing Kansas City and they're losing, so I think we have to switch it up right now. So Kansas City is my number 3. So that's what I'm going with right now. Yeah, of course, Kansas City. Of course, they've won 4 in a row. They're 7-3 in their last 10. Boy, and this is a team that was basically like struggling at the beginning of but this team has really started to come on. But they're running into another hot team, the Dodgers, and they're losing right now. So and we have to put them at number 3. So of course, schedule coming up. They got 2 more against the. They got 2 more against the Dodgers before the break, and then they go into the break, and then of course, after the All-Star break, let me take a look. After the All-Star break, the Kansas City Royals, they begin a series with the Texas Rangers. So so there's really nothing more to be. Kansas City Royals is my number 3. So, Florio, it's yours.
Yeah. I feel bad that we had to make that indemnity, but I think it's the right thing to do. especially with the way the result is right now. So originally, I had this team at number 2 because of the fact that they were on a 4-game winning streak and the Dodgers were on a 3-game winning streak, and both were at 7-3 in the last 10. But since the Dodgers are currently winning right now, 3-1, which is I'm assuming heading into the 7th, I think we should go with the Royals at 3. They won 3 out of 4. Well, before I get into that, they're 4th in home runs allowed, 13th in ERA, 20th in batting average, and 27th in runs scored. They won 3 out of 4 from the Minnesota Twins last weekend, and then they followed that up by sweeping the Seattle Mariners 3 in a row at Safeco Field in Seattle. They were off on Thursday, and right now trailing the Los Angeles Dodgers 3-1 in Los Angeles. 2 more games against the Dodgers this weekend. Of course, tomorrow night, Baseball Night in America, for those of you who will be getting that game, of course. Off for the All-Star break, and when they come back from the All-Star break, a 3-game series with the Texas Rangers, and they'll be at home for that at Kauffman Stadium. So what a hot streak right now for Kansas City. I mean, they started off very, very poorly this year. They were on the verge of being that disappointing team. This team won the World Series 2 years ago, and if they keep doing what they're doing, who knows? Maybe they could make another run. You never know if they keep doing what they're doing, and if certain standings fall the way they do. So, what a bounce back for them. So with that being said, number 3, it is the Kansas City Royals, 44-40. They're tied with Minnesota for 2nd. They're a game and a half behind Cleveland. So that's all I can say there. So the Royals are number 3. Number 2, Los Angeles Dodgers. Best record in the National League, 58-29, 7-3 in the last 10, 3 in a row. They lead the Diamondbacks by 5.5 in the NL West. They lead the league in ERA. They're 2nd in home runs allowed. They're 4th in runs scored, and they're 14th in batting average. Clayton Kershaw recently had a no-hitter bid the other night, and let's see what they've done since our last power rankings. They won 2 out of 3 from the San Diego Padres in San Diego. They were off on Monday, and then they had a 3-game sweep of the Arizona Diamondbacks at home. They currently lead the Kansas City Royals right now 3-1. I believe that's going into the 7th inning now. And they have 2 more games against the Royals this weekend, of course, like I mentioned. And then they have the All-Star break. And how fitting is this? For some of the Dodgers who made the National League All-Star team, they're going to get a week in Miami because after the All-Star break, their first series is on the road in Miami against the Marlins. And where's the All-Star game? In Miami. So for those Dodgers who are National League All-Stars, they're going to be staying in Miami for at least a week. So how about that? So little interesting news there. And like I said, Clayton Kershaw had a no-hitter the other night. I believe that was on Wednesday night, and that was broken up, but they still won. So yeah, this team is clicking on all cylinders. And right now, if I'm going to be real honest with you, they're my team to beat in the National League. Because I really like what I see out of them, not just because of Kershaw and that great bullpen, but there's a young man on the offensive side of the ball who I've really taken a major liking to as of late, and that is Justin Turner. We got to keep an eye on this young man. He is unbelievable. So that's all I can say there. Number 2, Los Angeles Dodgers. Michael Bullock, how about it?
Number 2, Los Angeles Dodgers. And now let's move on to number 1. And that number 1 is indeed the Milwaukee Brewers.
Wow.
I mean, I never thought that would come out of my mouth. The Milwaukee Brewers, number 1. I love this team. Basically, they've won 5 in a row now. They're 8-2 in their last 10 games. With that win tonight over the New York Yankees, and they got 2 more against the New York Yankees this weekend before they go into the All-Star break, and then immediately after the All-Star break, They got the Philadelphia Phillies. So, and we all know how bad that team's playing, and they could continue to, and they may continue to play well. I mean, yeah, I like the way this team has been playing. So, Milwaukee Brewers #1. Florio, it's yours.
No doubt about it, Bullock. You're absolutely spot on. Milwaukee Brewers #1, 49-40 record, 4.5 game lead over the Cubs in the NL Central. Winners of 5 in a row, 8-2 in their last 10 games. Since our last power rankings, they won 2 out of 3 from the Miami Marlins. Followed that up by sweeping the Baltimore Orioles 3 in a row in an interleague series, outscoring the Orioles in that series 18-3. How about that? 18-3. And then on Thursday, they went into Wrigley Field and absolutely pounded Matt Ward, Chicago Cubs 11-2. And then they went into New York and they just kept on steamrolling, a 9-4 win over my Yankees in New York. 2 more games against the Yankees this weekend in New York at Yankee Stadium in that interleague series, all for the All-Star break. And when they come home, when they come back from the break, they will be back home at Miller Park when they host the Philadelphia Phillies for a 3-game series. They should have no trouble with them. Like Bullock said, Philly's terrible. They're god-awful. To the tune of that Philly team, they have the worst record in all of baseball. They're 28-57. And they're currently on a 4-game losing streak and 4-6 in their last 10. So yeah, they should have no trouble with Philly whatsoever. So, man, what's going on with Milwaukee? I mean, who would have thought we would have them at #1? But when you look at the body of work, I mean, you got to give it to them. I mean, they're the hottest team right now, and considering how the Yankees are free falling. Jesus Aguilar with 2 home runs and 7 RBI, including that tie-breaking grand slam in the 7th inning that put Milwaukee over the top there. So, Jesus Aguilar, we definitely got to watch for. That's somebody we got to watch for. Of course, the star of that team, as everybody knows, Eric Timms. I mean, you think of what he's done this year. Travis Shaw doing some things. Domingo Santana. Zach Davies with 10 wins. And, of course, Jimmy Nelson, their flamethrower, with 112 strikeouts to lead the team. And of course, their closer, Corey Knebel, with 13 saves. What else is there to say? They got a solid bullpen, solid starting rotation, led by Zach Davies and Jimmy Nelson and Chase Anderson as well. So I don't know what's going on in Milwaukee, but keep it up, guys. You're doing great. I am very impressed. And who knows, maybe if they keep doing what they're doing, maybe they could be a threat to the Dodgers and the Nationals. Who would have thought I'd say that? A team that hasn't been to the World Series in 35 years. So, of course, you remember in 1982, they went to the World Series. They had Robin Yount and all those phenomenal talents, Cecil Cooper. And but unfortunately, they lost in 7 to St. Louis, and they haven't really had a snuff of that since. The closest they've been recently was 2011 when they went to the National League Championship Series, only to lose to St. Louis. So, and then of course St. Louis went on to win the World Series that year. So that's it. We'll see what happens. But for right now, #1. It is the Milwaukee Brewers. And that will do it for this edition of Strictly Sports. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in. Michael Bullock, we're going to start off with your shout-outs. And, of course, we're going to set up the future content. And one piece of business we got to set up. What's your availability tomorrow night for a possible Great Balls of Fire?
I'm in for a Great Balls of Fire preview. I would say this point, I'd have to say 11:30 for me.
All right. Yeah, 11:30. Yeah, that's more than fair enough. I can definitely do that. So 11:30 tomorrow night. Of course, I'll set up the rest of the future content. Very exciting future content, if I do say so myself. So, Bullock.
But first, I got to get to my shout-outs.
Yes, sir.
All right. Of course, we want to thank you all so very much for tuning in on this edition of Strictly Sports. Of course, shout out to all of our tremendous fans and viewers out there who continue support our shows every day. whether it's this Ridiculously Raw or the Cerebral Smack Talk. We definitely appreciate and all the love and support you have for our shows. So, of course, shout out to all, of course, the first lady of the wrestling forum, the Twisted Angel, Dee Dee Woodson, and the rest of her family. And of course to our other super fans, Matt Ward and Jason Hexenbaugh, and of course to all of our friends from high school days. You guys know who you are. Of course to Derek Ferreira for his continued success on YouTube with his wrestling and sports takes, and to Michael Fletcher, unfortunately couldn't be with us because of his problems with the Google Hangout. It's just a damn shame that it had to happen on a night like this. So shout out to him, and hopefully we'll have him. Hopefully the Google Hangout on his end will be fixed in time for our Great Balls of Fire preview show tomorrow night. I hope and pray for that. And of course,
no, he's not going to be
on.
He's not going to be on Bullet because we got tomorrow night's the UFC event. He's going to be going to that.
Oh yeah, that's right. So it's basically just going to be the two of us. So yeah, well, hopefully he'll be with us for the recap on Sunday night. So yeah, so of course, shout out to all of our news personalities from 6, 10, and 12. And of course, our personalities from ESPN, Fox Sports, MLB Network, NFL Network, NHL Network, NBA TV, and all the rest of the all the networks out there. And of course, to Status Sorrell, Lindsay McCormick, and of course, our friends from the Roadshow, former co-host Mary Larson and Megan Mooney, and of course, the Three Curve people, the great group of Will Gilbert, Brendan Kirby, and of course, Michaela Johnson. And so yeah, so until tomorrow night for our Great Balls of Fire preview edition of Ridiculously Raw. This is Mike Bullock saying thank you all so very much for tuning in. And of course, we always like to say thumbs up, talk to you later. Yeah, throw it a Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, and enjoy your Saturday, everyone. So, Florios, take us home, set up that future content, and oh boy, I mean, we definitely got a good one coming up.
Oh, we sure do, Bullock. Absolutely. You couldn't be any more spot on than that. Special shout out to all of our tremendous fans and viewers out there who continue to make our shows what they are. We appreciate it as always. You are the best fans in the world. We always say that. Of course, a special shout out to the First Lady of the Wrestling Forum, the Twisted Angel, Dee Dee Woodson, Kevin Woodson, and the entire Woodson family. Matt Ward, Jason Hexenbaugh, Daniel Luttrell from the UK. Our other First Ladies, Kaiser Butler, Megan Silva, and Lexi Calloway. Of course, our other crew members, Tommy Souza, Eric Carrier, Jimmy Alden, Al Braderson, and Rob Parsons. And, of course, the man who puts it all together, the one and only Derek Ferreira. His videos have been absolutely amazing. If you haven't seen them lately, check it out. His username, of course, Falcon Striker 445. His videos have been absolutely amazing lately. His body of work just keeps getting better and better. Smash that bell, like he always likes to say. And we want to give we have a very extra special shout out that Bullock and I want to send out to two very fine gentlemen who we both had the pleasure of calling our very special best friends, who just celebrated a birthday. Mike and Brian Keenan, the Keenan boys. Their birthday, it was today, and we want to send our best out to them. They're currently on a family vacation right now in the Dominican Republic, and we wish them the very best, and we hope to see them again very soon. So a very special happy birthday to Mike and Brian Keenan, indeed, from all of us here at Strictly Sports. And all of our personalities from 6, 10, and 12, ESPN, Fox Sports 1, MLB Network, NHL Network, NBA TV, NFL Network, the whole 9 yards. Personal shout-outs, Lindsay McCormick, Status Sorrell, Julie Alexandria, Chantel McKay from the Golf Channel, and, of course, our friends from the Roadshow, Will Gilbert, Brendan Kirby, Michaela Johnson. Continued success with that. And, of course, former co-hosts Megan Mooney and Mary Larson. And last but not least, my wonderful church family at Oasis of Grace Ministries on 464 Silver Spring Street in Providence. If you need a church home, check them out. Exit 25 off Route 95. Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Bible study. Shortly after 10, Sunday service. Wednesday night at 7, Bible study, and other things going on. And look forward to seeing them on Sunday for another wonderful service as always. And of course, that's it for our shout outs for that. And all right, very exciting future content indeed. Like Bullock said, 11:30 tomorrow night. He and I will be with you for our Great Balls of Fire preview show right here on the Tone 25, the Monday Night Raw exclusive pay-per-view. We'll give you our thoughts and predictions for everything that's going down there. And then Sunday night, immediately following Great Balls of Fire, we'll be here. Hopefully, we'll have MF with us, and we'll have Didi Woodson with us, and we'll have our complete recap of Great Balls of Fire. And then Monday night, immediately following Raw, we got Ridiculously Raw, of course. We'll sort out all the fallout from Great Balls of Fire. And, of course, I'll give you my Tony's take. Not only am I going to have 205 Live and Impact Wrestling, but I'm going to give you a bonus. I'm not going to do a review, but I will give you the results of the TNA Slammiversary pay-per-view for those who may not have heard the results. If you didn't see Derek Ferrera's recap the other night, I'll give you my brief thoughts about what happened at Slammiversary, along with 205 Live and Impact Wrestling from this past week. And then Tuesday night, of course, we got the Cerebral Smack Talk. Hopefully, MF will be back with us for that. Oh boy, do we have a lot to talk about when it comes to the SmackDown Live side of things. If you didn't hear the big news tonight, a new United States Heavyweight Champion was crowned in the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden. The phenomenal AJ Styles, the new WWE United States Heavyweight Champion. I know we're going to have a lot to say about that come Tuesday night on the Cerebral Smack Talk when we will review SmackDown Live, and MF will hopefully have his Mikey's mindset with the Lucha Underground and some other things. And then next Friday night, of course, Strictly Sports. I'm pretty sure there won't be a power rankings because it's going to be the All-Star break, and I don't think there's any point in doing a power rankings considering that they're going to be coming back from the All-Star break next Friday night. So with all due respect, I think we should put the power rankings on the back burner at least for next week, and then bring them back the following week on July 21st, on the July 21st edition of this show. So that's how I'm sure we're going to talk about the Home Run Derby. I'm sure we're going to talk about the All-Star game. And I'm sure we're probably going to talk about the ESPY Awards, because I know the ESPY Awards are going to be going down this Wednesday night with Peyton Manning as the host. So I know we're going to get at all of that and maybe some more transactions, some more hot stove stuff. So that's what we can pretty much expect next Friday night for Strictly Sports. So that's it. So until tomorrow night at 11:30 for our Great Balls of Fire preview edition of Ridiculously Raw, it's Anthony Florio here for Michael Bullock and in spirit, good old MF Michael Fletcher. Such a damn shame he couldn't be with us tonight. I really wanted him here, but technical difficulties, they can happen at any time. So MF, hopefully we'll have you back with us Sunday night, because I know you're not going to be with us tomorrow, because I know you're going to be going up to UFC. And be sure to check out his channel, BraceFan95, because he messaged me saying he was going to have a preview of UFC 213 on his channel sometime tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that. And so in spirit, so it's Anthony Florio here for Michael Bullock, and in spirit, Real MF Michael Fletcher, the Twisted Angel Didi Woodson, and of course our Imperial Grand Poobah Derek Ferrera. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it up Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed Saturday. And until tomorrow night for our Great Balls of Fire preview edition of Ridiculously Raw, you've been watching Strictly Sports right here on the Tone 25.com. And remember, well, that's my other sign-off. I apologize for that. So for now, Anthony Florio. So long.